shows you're about to watch contain graphic adult content. Viewer discretion is advised. You are watching Hellfire TV.
Morning.
Good morning. Another a beautiful Sunday ready for football. Unfortunately, us Patriots fans won't get to because, we just kicked the dog shit out of the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday night. But anyways, yeah, it's been an exciting season. And here we are nearing the end, coming up on the playoff race. There's about a little less than half the season left. A little less, give or take. The playoff scenario is really starting to kind of, at this point, take shape. You're starting to kind of see it. Now, there's a lot of teams that are like right there. Like, all it's going to take is a few losses, a few here, a few there, this and that. But there's a lot of stuff that is flipping around. And doing a lot of different stuff. What's up, Kylie? How are you? So we're going to go right into it. Obviously, you guys know how it works. You've been with us. You've been watching us. We're going to get straight into the power rankings and just kind of talk shit along the way.
Which we're good at.
Sliding in at number 32, who's been there pretty much the entire year, the lonely Houston Texans.
Poor Texans fans.
You know what? I don't even really know what to say.
Exactly. We don't know what to say or do.
They've made a lot of bad decisions that has led them to this situation. They gave away DeAndre Hopkins. They gave away a lot of other players. They gave away J.J. Watt. They've given away so many players. So many players were mad about the situations that were going there. They were mad about how things were being handled. And just overall, it's been kind of a big, ugly shit show, to be honest, with Houston. You've got the Deshaun Watson, situation that's been going on all year long. He hasn't played.
No.
I don't even know if he's been like on the team suited up or even on the sidelines.
No. I mean, I haven't seen anything on it. I think he's just kind of like out right now.
So supposedly, they were trying to trade him at one point. We heard a lot of stuff about trade accusations. We heard, the Dolphins being interested, and the Patriots at one time were possibly interested. And that was pre-draft. There's a lot of scenarios that were swirling. I honestly feel like Houston has made so bad of choices that it's probably going to take them the next 4 to 5 years to clean up
At
the bad
least.
decisions they've made.
Yeah, that they're going to be a terrible team for years to come, sadly, and it is sad.
Yeah, so I don't know about you, but I don't really foresee Houston getting off the ground anytime soon.
Yeah, not at all. And I just pulled up everything. Like right now, they have Deshaun Watson marked as like the fourth string quarterback. So, do they even have him? And this is the unofficial depth chart, by the way. But I mean, again, I don't see much happening out of this. They're not going to get enough. I think what they were doing is because they're so screwed for years to come. They were trying to get so much for Deshaun Watson that just shot him in the foot.
Right.
So
Now,
their mistake.
At this point, I kind of feel like they're probably going to offload him after this year.
A good chance,
really,
yes.
really, at what point? What decision do they have to make? I don't think he's going to give them much of a decision. Right. That's just point blank. I think that they tried to trade him at the beginning of the season, but they were just asking for an arm and a leg and your firstborn son to, fucking do it. And everybody's like, are you fucking crazy?
Right. It's way too ridiculous.
Right. So sorry, Houston fans, you're probably going to be, you're at some point when you get your first round draft picks back, you're going to probably have a couple of first round draft picks, number one picks for a while. Mm-hmm. So, celebrate in about 4 or 5 years. Moving on, number 31, the New York Jets. Why they are not higher, I don't know. They got 2 wins. They do have 2 wins. They have a win against the Bengals.
Surprisingly, yes.
So, and they've got them underneath Detroit and Jacksonville. I would definitely put the Jets. I would just flip Detroit and the Jets.
Yeah,
because the Jets do, like I said, the Jets do actually have 2 wins as to where the Detroit Lions have 0.
I mean, the fact that they're even the Lions are marked at 30 right now, and Houston has got 1 win. Detroit doesn't even have that. They've got a tie, but they should be 32. At least Houston should be 31, and then Jets at 30. But the way that they've got this, I always feel so sorry for Detroit fans. I really do. Morning.
Good morning, Bubbles. So, here's my thing. Like, obviously, guys and gals, we're actually throwing Detroit and New York in the same conversation because it's kind of there. Now, Detroit would not have even a tie if the Steelers would have had Ben Roethlisberger for that game. He was out with COVID during that game. They had a very terrible Mason Rudolph quarterbacking. I think they would have been better off with Dwayne Haskins, to be honest. Rudolph fucking sucks. He's terrible. He is a terrible quarterback. Made terrible decisions that entire game, had every opportunity to win that game, and he did not. He could not capitalize. Overthrows, or he was throwing it so goddamn hard they couldn't fucking catch it.
Yeah, he's no Brett Favre. I'll say that.
There was at least, and I watched that entire game because my dad is a Steelers fan, and I watched that game with him, and I watched that damn quarterback, freaking Mason Rudolph, throwing that damn thing like a fucking pitcher for the damn Atlanta Braves and to a wide open receiver. Like, there was no reason that you should have been zipping that damn thing down there. Number one, in the rain. The whole fucking game was pouring rain. So you already have an already difficult catch with a slick ass football. Number 2, why are you trying to zip it in when there was there was at least 10 footballs that he did that to where the receiver was wide open. There was no reason to be throwing it that damn hard.
No,
you are the reason that they could not make those catches. You're the reason. You had every opportunity to win that game. Detroit lucked out. If it had been Roethlisberger, Detroit would have another loss. So technically, between Detroit and Houston, I think Detroit could beat Houston. I think they would beat Houston. So I definitely think the Jets and the Detroit Lions should be flipped on the power rankings.
Very much agreed.
So, being that we went through that, sliding up into number 29 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. How do you feel about Jacksonville? And then I'll tell you how I feel about Jacksonville.
I mean, I've been very clear about it. I feel sorry for Jacksonville fans. I don't think Urban Meyer's the answer. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be used to his full potential there because of Urban Meyer. I don't like the options. I don't think that was the best play. I think they screwed up.
My thing with Jacksonville has actually shown some really bright spots during this year. They couldn't capitalize on a lot of stuff, and from what I'm seeing, everybody knows I like Jacksonville. If I had a second favorite team underneath the New England Patriots, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do root for them. Here's my thing on Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is a much better team than what they are showing. I think a lot of it lies on coaching. I really do. I don't think Urban Meyer, I am like you, I don't think Urban Meyer was the answer. Right. I really don't. I think that they have potential. They do have potential. They beat the fucking Buffalo Bills. That should have been a ass stomping. Not on Jack. That should have been the Bills just completely annihilating them. So that tells me right there, Jacksonville can play.
I'm not saying that they can't, but again, it's any given Sunday. So it could be anything.
I think they have the team. I just don't think they have the coaching. I think it's the coaching staff, front end, and that owner. Chad Conn has no idea what the fuck he's doing as an NFL owner. He's a businessman. He's not a football guy. And we've talked about this before, the difference on people owning football teams that are football guys and they're businessmen. If you're a businessman, you should not be making major decisions with a football team if you want to win.
I mean, I'll get into this conversation, okay? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost to Washington football team. They lost 29-19. Tom Brady had a bad game. He came back a little bit. It's any given Sunday, and especially this year. We've seen it in college. We've seen it in the NFL.
Could be one of the worst teams,
but still, you're like, they beat the Bills. But you're like, they beat the Bills. Yeah, well, Washington beat Tampa Bay. There's still a lot of options.
And I get that. But as a Jacksonville fan, and watching Jacksonville's games all year long, Jacksonville has a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They have terrible coaching.
Yeah.
Bottom line, Urban Meyer was not the answer. They have a good team. They have a young team. They could build that team. That team could potentially be a Super Bowl contender at one time under the correct leadership. They do not have the correct leadership. They do not have the correct coaching in Jacksonville.
I agree.
Bottom line, that is Jacksonville's problem, is coaching. It's always been coaching. Always been coaching. They haven't been good since when Tom Coughlin's been there, they won.
Mm-hmm.
The only time they ever went to they've been to the AFC Championship game twice. Once with Mark Brunell. Guess who was the coach? Tom Coughlin. When they went a few years ago and they played the Patriots and they barely lost to the New England Patriots, which is the Super Bowl the Patriots went on to lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Guess who their general manager was? Tom Coughlin. He was the leadership. They lost that AFC Championship game. Then they turned around and got rid of Tom Coughlin the next year. What happened that next year after they went to the AFC Championship game? They bombed and went fucking like they only won 3 games. It's Jacksonville's problem is their leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I am sold on that. Number 28, Miami Dolphins. What the fuck has happened in Miami? Because
I don't know.
Here's my thing. Brian Flores is a great coach. He comes from New England. He was under Belichick for years and years and years. He was a great coach up in New England. I think he's still a great coach. But what the fuck has happened? How do you go from missing the playoffs by one game last year? You won 10 games. You had a winning record. You only needed one more win to make the playoffs. You barely missed the playoffs last year to being at the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened in Miami?
Honestly, the way that I've looked at it is you're not on a Belichick anymore. Now you're making your own decisions. Yes, you can be phenomenal underneath Belichick. No, I'm not disagreeing about that. You might be a great core of coaches mixed together underneath Belichick. When you go out on your own, you are not the piece that you think you're going to be. That's going to be the final one to the puzzle for a different team. Belichick is a genius on a lot of this stuff for who he has, for his offensive coordinator, for his defensive coordinator, for everything. Yes, you might be great there, but when you go in transition, it's not going to be the same because you no longer have him above you, helping you make decisions, guiding this, guiding that. Now it's you. You're like, oh, shit. Okay. So, again, Miami has potential. We'll see. I'm not knocking them just this year. Let's see how next year turns out, and then I'll have more input on it. But for right now, Belichick's not around. So,
well, I get that. But he did good last year. He did great.
Yes.
He did great. The team, like I said, was one win away from going to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But how is it that last year you were one win from the playoffs? You won 10 games. And here's my thing. Really, the only major change has been quarterbacks because the majority of the year last year, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Mm-hmm.
You had old Fitzmagic. And then Tua comes in. Not saying that it's Tua's fault, but it kind of looks that way.
I mean, with injuries and everything else and the other stuff, they didn't look bad at all last year. You know, I'm very pleased with a lot of the stuff. But this year, people are going completely against Tua. Don't panic yet. All right. You know, he started part of the games last year. He came off of being hurt with a hip injury. This year, you're seeing him into this. And there's been a couple ups and downs, too, for him in this year. It's still a rookie quarterback, guys. Give him some time. What's going on, Easy?
What up, man?
So, I'm not knocking him down. All right. Give him another year. You know, they're linking up more and doing a little bit more. I say give it another shot. Let's see how this outcome turns out next year.
Okay. Fair enough. Number 27, the Atlanta Falcons. God, I love talking about the Atlanta Falcons.
I know you do. Especially when it's got something to do with the New England. You are very fond about talking about the Falcons.
I am because I fucking hate Atlanta. So I love to bag on the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what their problem is, to be honest. They have taken some pretty hard hits. Calvin Ridley gone, Julio Jones gone. No true, really good running back.
Cordell Patterson's a good running back / wide receiver, special teams guy, but he got hurt, with an ankle injury, so he's a little bit out. So that hurts.
Their offensive line was goddamn fucking horrible. Matt Ryan threw, I think, 4 or 5 interceptions, one for a pick 6. No, that was not Matt Ryan that threw that. That was Josh Rosen. Matt Ryan did, however, throw, I think, 2 or 3 interceptions during that game. He was sacked. God, I don't know how many fucking times. A lot. His offensive line could not protect him for shit. The only bright part of Atlanta that I could say was actually looked really good was their defense. Their defense was not bad. They only held Atlanta down, or they held New England down to only scoring 1 actual offensive touchdown. The rest were all field goals.
Sorry, go on.
I said the only actual other touchdown that was scored was on the defensive side with a pick six, where Kyle Van Noy intercepted Josh Rosen with only about a minute and a half of game time left and took it in for a touchdown. So the defense did not do bad. Their offense, horrible.
And speaking about their offense, so they had Matt Ryan in there, 19 for 28, 153 yards, 2 interceptions. Josh Rosen. What?
Okay, I knew it was 2 or 3. I couldn't remember.
Josh Rosen, 1 for 3 with 5 yards, had 1 interception. And then Felipe Franks, 0 for 1 with 1 interception. So total 4 interceptions in the game.
Oh, yeah, it was an interception to end the game.
Yeah, sorry, Felipe Franks, but welcome to the NFL.
Yeah. So the Atlanta Falcons, there's absolutely no hope. Well, you would have thought there would have been hope because the week before they beat the fucking Saints.
And again, any given Sunday.
So
they beat the Saints, though, without their starting quarterback. I'll say that.
Right. So number 26, the Washington football team. Hit and miss. I think Washington has actually a pretty decent team, but I think they would have done a lot better this year if Ryan Fitzpatrick hadn't got hurt.
Agreed. Now, I will say again, they just beat Tampa Bay. So,
oh no, and I'm not saying Washington's a great team. I think they're a good team, and I think they could have been better if Fitzpatrick hadn't been hurt.
I completely agree with you on that one. So
I think they probably could have potentially got into the playoffs again. They got into the playoffs last year, and they damn near beat Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Tampa barely beat them, but it is what it is. So unfortunately for Washington, injuries really have what stopped them from being the team that they can be. But we'll see. I think, once they get their quarterback situation back under wraps next year, you're going to see a lot different Washington team. I think they will get into the playoff caliber, and they will be a difficult team to play later on down the road. It's just they had some really bad breaks this year, and that's really all that boils down to with Washington is just bad breaks, injury. And that's happened to the best of them. We've seen a lot of good teams come out really good and then just have injury after injury after injury, and those injuries stack up, and unfortunately, if you're losing a whole lot of key players, it happens, unfortunately. Number 25, the Chicago Bears. You're the boss, man. Run it. Like what's Chicago, bro?
I mean, it's been
I had high hopes for y'all this year.
So did I, but the thing is, I didn't have much hopes with Andy Dalton being our starter. He's no longer our starter. No. We have Justin Fields, so we have a rookie starter. That's understandable. Our defense has not been on point. Khalil Mack has been hurt and playing every week with a foot injury. He's out now for the rest of the season because he's going for surgery. Raekwon Smith last year, was all right. This year, he's putting, some good numbers up. So that's actually pretty promising. Montgomery was hurt. He came back last week. He's in this week. So there's been some questionable things. Honestly, we should have beat the Steelers when we played them, and we had a bye last week. But some terrible officiating during that game allowed the Steelers to win that game. And I won't go too much into that. They actually dropped down 2 spots from 23 to 25. But in all honesty, it's not officially over yet. Our section still sucks. We've got Minnesota. We've got Detroit. And, the Packers are way up there. But we're still right there in the middle of the pack. There's still a slim chance for us to go as a wild card. Do we have a chance to get our shit together and actually put it to something this year? Very unlikely. But hey, they said we didn't have a chance last year to go into the playoffs. We went to the first round. We lost to the Rams. It is what it is.
Right. Well, my thing with Chicago is there were several games that should have won, could have been won. I think y'all left Andy Dalton in far too long. And I think that was one of the big problems, because I think at least 3 of those games where you had Dalton in, Justin Fields could have won those games.
Right, because he's going to be a lot more mobile than Andy Dalton.
I think if Justin Fields hadn't started the season right off the bat, we would be looking at a different scenario right now.
Oh, huge potential. I mean, he's locking in now with the wide receivers. Allen Robinson, not really locking in with him. So great. We franchise tagged him this year and he's not producing, but he's still being looked at on the field as a threat. That's fine. I'm just very happy today because they play the Ravens at 1:00 and, Baltimore's without their starting quarterback. So I'm smiling because I'm hoping that we take a win today and beat the Ravens at least. We've beat the Bengals. We can beat the Ravens even without their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I hope you beat the holy living shit out of them.
Oh,
Number 24, the New York Giants. The Giants, to me, there's really not a whole lot to say about the Giants. The Giants' big problem this year has been injuries, just like Washington. Just like Washington. They lost Saquon Barkley. They lost Sterling Shepard. They lost Kenny Galladay. They lost Darius Slayton. They've lost a bunch of fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been loss after loss after loss. That's really all you can bank that up to is the Giants just having lots of injuries that really, really hurt them. So other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to say on the New York Giants.
Me neither.
Moving into number 23, we had way higher hopes for this team as the Denver Broncos.
I agree.
They looked great in the preseason. They've had some very shining moments to where they could be a really good team. They beat the hell out of the Dallas Cowboys, who's one of the top teams in the NFL right now. So that tells me Denver could be a potential threat. But what the hell has been going on with them it's kind of up in the air. Like, I don't really have an answer for Denver.
Right.
I really don't. Moving into number 22, the Seattle Seahawks. Is their quarterback's return going to help them try to maybe slide into the playoffs? I don't think so because they're already 3-6. Okay. He missed a bunch of games. They've lost a bunch of games that were pivotal, and they're in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL. You've got both the red hot Cardinals and the Rams in that division.
Mm-hmm.
And the 49ers are starting to get better because the 49ers just gave an ass kicking to the Rams this last weekend.
Agreed. And last week, Russell Wilson came back. He played. And sadly, it wasn't the outcome I was hoping for because I predicted them to win last week. So, first game back after surgery on his finger and his hand. Still in doubt, haven't lost all hope, but they still have potential to at least, break 500 this year and try to do something. But I don't see them as like a huge playoff caliber team, sadly. And they were one of the teams I was expecting to do good this year.
No. Moving on, number 21, the Philadelphia Eagles. We had a higher hopes for them too.
Yes.
We had high hopes with Jalen Hurts being able to do something. I think Jalen is still a good quarterback. I just don't think he has any weapons. Although they did beat the Denver Broncos quite convincingly last weekend, which we did not see that coming. I don't know. Maybe they're just now starting to get their shit together and learn how to play together because it is a very new, very young team, brand new coach, a lot of brand new players in brand new positions. A lot of stuff happened for Philadelphia. Philadelphia fans, I wouldn't worry too much about it because I think you're going to see a lot different of a team next year. Could they still get into the playoffs? Yeah. Yeah, they're still in a spot where they could get in the playoffs. They're 4-6. They could turn around. They could start winning. They could slide into a wild card position. It's yet to be said. We'll see what they do this weekend.
And they did have a little bit more of a better play last week, I'll say, with their rookie wide receiver who's actually talking to Hurts because he's played with him and say, hey, throw the ball up, arc it a little bit, do this. And with that, they started playing together much better. Like you said, weapons. You have a quarterback that came in last year. You have a wide receiver that came in this year, both past Alabama players. But again, they've got a lot of rebuild to do. And that's what they're in. They're in rebuild. They've got potential. We just don't know when yet to say it will be their time. You're going to be next year? Possibly. Could they get it potentially in the playoffs as a wild card? They could. It just all depends.
Yeah. Okay. Sliding into number 20, dropping 5 spots, the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, this is another team that had
huge
lot of potential, huge potential, and has taken hit after hit after hit, and are now sliding down that line.
Yeah. I mean, they've had everything happen to them this year. They've lost their coach. They've lost one of their top wide receivers. They lost one of their top cornerbacks. They've had other issues entirely. The Josh Jacobs got hurt, wasn't playing like himself for a few games. That is a crucial thing. Now you bring in Jackson as wide receiver to be one of your deep threats now. You've got to get on the same page with him. There's a lot of other things that's going to go on. Like we said already, we had high hopes for him. We put them up at the top. I wish I could find my paper from the beginning of the season with our rankings that we did. Right. And we might have to do one at the end of the year as well. And but sadly, it's not playing out well for them. Sorry, Raiders fans.
Yeah, sorry guys. So going up into number 19, raising up 6 spots, is the Carolina Panthers with a quite convincing win over the Arizona Cardinals, which was a huge shocker to me. Mm-hmm. Huge shocker. Does Carolina have some potential? Sure, they've got some potential. Do I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team? No. Right now, they've got a decent team, other than they have a serious, big, huge question mark at the quarterback position. They did bring in Cam Newton, but he wasn't even the one that played most of the game last weekend. It was PJ Walker, who everybody knows I am a big fan of PJ Walker and have, sang his praises before. I think that they would have been better off allowing PJ Walker to be the starting quarterback for Carolina, but they have brought Cam Newton back, and we'll see how that turns out.
I mean, they said they were going to give Cam all the opportunities that, the first aspect of the quarterback play. So we'll see. Are they going to have Cam be the number one starter, or are they going to give PJ a little bit more time in the driver's seat? It's hard to say. We'll see.
Oh, sliding down 4 spots to number 18, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has just been absolutely falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what to say, because they've got some major weapons on that team, but they have not been coming together at all.
The running back play has been phenomenal, but wide receiver play is not the same as what it used to be. Ben Roethlisberger is getting old. He's getting beat up. He's not able to do the same thing. Honestly, Ben, I think this is your last year, buddy. You need to hang it up. You don't have it.
Yeah.
You're doing better than I would, and you're older than I am. But still, it's getting tough. And I know a few people that are Pittsburgh fans. You're just breaking their hopes. Just Rudolph's not the option. Find a new quarterback. Definitely a new quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback position for the Steelers, it should be their number one priority for the next year or 2 years, trying to figure out who's going to take over as their next franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. Other than that, the team's good. They really don't need any other slots. I mean, they took a hard hit with losing Juju. That was their top wide receiver. Losing him really hurt, but they got Najee Harris, who's a badass. He's been really picking it up. They did take a possible major hit this last weekend. TJ Watt got hurt, So we don't know what's going on with him. He could miss lots of games, and that is one of their big, bright, shining points in defense. So Pittsburgh, I wouldn't be looking towards going to the playoffs this year.
No.
Moving up 7 slots to number 17, the San Francisco 49ers. They are starting to look pretty good again. They weren't looking good at the beginning of the season, but they're starting to kind of turn it around.
Surprisingly.
They got some good weapons. They got some weapons. Trust me, I've got a couple of 49ers on my fantasy football team, and Deebo Samuel's a fucking beast.
Yeah, he is.
So they're bringing it up. Their previous rank was 24. They raised from 24 to 17. So, and they gave an ass kicking to the Rams last weekend.
Yep, which is still very, very strange, but we'll see how that plays out later.
Yeah. Sliding into number 16 is the Cincinnati Bengals. We started seeing them be a very bright spot in the NFL at the beginning of the year. They are now sliding down. What is going on in Cincinnati?
I'll say the same thing that I do every year for Cincinnati. When you play a high caliber team, they raise their stakes. They play to that caliber. When they play a low caliber team, they lower their standards. Shit happens. Things just go awry. Their defense was being looked at as a very top end defense because how they were producing, their stopping and everything. That fell off the last few games. They forgot how to tackle. They forgot how to play. There's been some major mistakes. People being left open, misreads, and I don't know what the hell is going on with it, man. I mean, they were good. They were very promising. We were giving them shit, and then they started coming out of the gate running. But
agreed.
Shit, they lost to the Bears. I was very pleased with that one. But
right.
They're going to get their shit together. Just some things need to be adjusted. The offensive line is still terrible. It's getting to a point where it starts to crumble around Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's still a young quarterback. He got to play most of the season last year, so he's still in a rookie standpoint, in my opinion. He wants to make big plays. So he is taking shots, and he's paying for it. He's giving up interceptions. Instead of being sacked, he's trying to throw the ball away quickly, get it to somebody to make a big play, and it's just not working. If he was producing on those big plays and that was going for a touchdown, everybody be like, that'd be a Patrick Mahomes moment. Like, oh shit, did you see what happened? Like, they had 3 guys on him and he still threw it perfectly over to here, and this guy ran for a touchdown. Joe Burrow's a god. But because it's those scenarios where he's throwing it away and getting intercepted, they're looking at it as like, what's going on with Joe Burrow? It's just one of those moments. Right. Stay tuned, guys. He's going to be all right.
All right. Coming up, sliding up 3 slots to number 15, the Indianapolis Colts. I've always said that Colts have a good team. I don't think Carson Wentz is the answer. Phillip Rivers was. Unfortunately for them, he didn't want to give it another go. They went deep into the playoffs last year. I was surprised they didn't go deeper. I feel bad for them. But I think if Phillip Rivers would have came back, they'd have more wins than what they do.
Oh, absolutely.
Do I think that you're going to see them in the playoffs? Probably. It's a pretty good possibility that you could see the Colts as a number 6, number 7 seed wild card team in the playoffs. The AFC is still very much up in the air as far as the wild card positions are considered, but it could happen. I mean, they are not in a bad position. They're 5-5 right now. We'll see what happens through the rest of the year for Indy. But they got some damn good players.
Yeah.
Number 14, which shocks the shit out of me, up 7 slots, is the Minnesota Vikings, who are all of a sudden fucking being a badass team out of nowhere. I don't know what to say.
I still think the Vikings suck. I still don't like Kirk Cousins, but
I hate Kirk Cousins.
Everyone now and then
if they lose, it's Kirk Cousins' fault.
Yeah,
because they have a good team.
Somehow they've moved up 7 spots. I don't get it, but they're 4-5
because they're getting big wins. They're getting big wins, but it's not on Kirk Cousins that's doing it. It's their defense and their fucking running back.
I love how you're saying they're getting. Okay, let me pull up their stuff here. Let me see who they've officially played this year. And once I have that, let's see actually how big of a win.
I mean, they damn near beat the Ravens. They should have, but the Ravens barely pulled it off.
They lost to the Bengals. Okay, they lost to the Cardinals. They beat the Seahawks. That's not saying much. They lost to the Browns. They've won to the Lions. Woohoo. They beat the Panthers. Still not anything. Woohoo. They lost to the Cowboys. Lost to the Ravens. They somehow beat the Chargers, but now they get to run up against the Packers, the 49ers. They get another possible free win with the Lions. But we'll see where the game's at for the Steelers. They still got to play the Bears, the Rams, the Packers. Oh, and they get to play the Bears yet again to finish out the season. Right now, like, oh, yeah, no, they look like shit.
Have fun.
And I'm
Minnesota.
sorry, I'm a Bears fan, but damn, they look fucking terrible. They've got one more win than we do right now. And you know what? If we tie that up today, people are going to be like, well, the Vikings were looking good. Look at the Bears now coming up on top. I shit you not.
Sliding in, or actually staying in the same rank that they were as the New Orleans Saints. Personally, I don't think the Saints got it.
Mm-mm.
They're having quarterback issues. They're losing important games. They lost to the Falcons. Yes, they beat the Buccaneers, but they're very inconsistent.
Yes, their quarterback's still hurt. They don't know. You've got the running back duo back to back, and that's really awesome to see. Last week's game, you know, a record was broken. Deuce McAllister's no longer the rushing leader, which is sad and good to see that record broke because of how long time was spent there, but it's still up in the air. I don't know. It's so hard to say right now, man. This season's fucking strange. Everything we expected is not what we expect.
Dropping 2 spots to the rank of number 12, the Cleveland Browns have all of a sudden turned into a shit show, starting with they looked great. They steamrolled Cincinnati, which everybody thought that they were gonna lose to Cincinnati. Cincinnati had that in the bag. They steamrolled Cincinnati, and then in walks the New England Patriots, who just stomp a mud hole in their ass. Mm-hmm. And it's been downhill spiral ever since.
Yes, this division again is still up in the air. You've got the Ravens, who is projected to be such a phenomenon. Cleveland, that was going to be a strong suit right behind them. The Bengals were, expected to be a little bit better. And the Steelers were not expecting to be the greatest. So this thing is still up in the air. You still have such a huge close game right now in that division. The Bengals are 5-4. You've got the Steelers 5-3-1. Then you've got Cleveland 5-5, and then on top of that, you've got Baltimore, and they are what the hell is it? I lost track of where Baltimore was. 6-3. So right now, everybody's like one game away from each other. That whole division is separated basically by one game.
Right.
It's quite interesting.
So now you're moving on into number 11, the Los Angeles Chargers, who have been sliding downwards. They were winning games, being very impressive, and then all of a sudden, whoop, they've been going down.
Whop, 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 whop.
There's not really much that we could say on the Chargers at this point. I don't know what's going on. And the games that they're losing are not by a lot. They're very close margin. They barely lost to the Patriots. They barely lost, I think, right after that again. They've just been losing some very, very close margin games to where they're just not pulling off enough big plays. And I just don't know what to say about them. I really don't. Sliding in number 10, the Baltimore Ravens. There's not really much you could say about the Ravens. The Ravens are the Ravens.
Yeah, they've had some big injuries that's hurt them this year. They don't know every week it seems like they don't know who their starting running back is. They dropped Le'Veon Bell because he wasn't really producing. They talked about potentially they might pick him back up, put him on the practice squad. Who knows? Lamar Jackson's out right now with an illness, not COVID related, but still with an illness. I'm hoping that they have a 6-4 game, record after today. I hope the Bears end up taking that and give the Bengals another chance to move up. I don't care for Cleveland, so I really don't give a shit about them. Sorry, guys. But they're sliding around. They're moving. It's a lot, again, up in the air. We don't know what to expect, especially moving up to the next one.
So dropping 2 spots, number 9, Los Angeles Rams have been losing.
I'm still not down on them. They're 7-3. Okay.
You're just not going to give up the Rams, are you?
No, I'm not, damn it, because Matthew Stafford deserves this. I'm hoping this man goes on and wins his first ever Super Bowl. He's been knocked around, laughed at, and everything else. Most of his fans in the stadium had bags over their heads for years. That's most of his career.
You just like going for the underdog.
I do. I feel so fucking bad for him. He's had some great running backs. He's had one of the best wide receivers ever of Megatron.
He's going to be one of the next Dan Marino.
I hope that's not the case, okay? Dan Marino had more of an opportunity than Matthew Stafford has in his entire career. I'm hoping that Matthew Stafford gets a chance to get to the Super Bowl. I hope that he gets the win. That would be awesome. You know, I'm really pulling for the guy. I have not lost faith yet. They've got huge potential. Give them some more time. They're 7-3. We're not looking at them like they're 3-7, guys.
Yeah. Sliding up 3 spots into number 8, breaking the top 10, who was already counted out before the season ever started, the New England Patriots. Mac Jones has won 5 straight games on the road. Not an easy task at all. They are really been pulling it around. The only thing that I could say, they're being called one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC at this point. Their defense, probably one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. The offense, Mac does not have a whole lot on the receiving end. But what you're going to have to do to beat them is to stop the running game, and I don't think you're going to be able to stop. Harris and Stevenson are a pair that is dreadfully dangerous.
Now, hold on a second. Let me go back into this because we talked about this before, and you're like, Harris is not really doing that good. He's not really helping. I don't know.
Well,
but
he's been pulling it out now. The first 2 games, he was a little lack thereof. But the further that the season gets, Harris and Stevenson together have been extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah, Stevenson's got the gameplay right now where you could put him as a little bit of, 2 phenomenal running backs here. He's got power. He's got the speed. He has everything all wrapped up into one. It took him a little bit to get going. I drafted him in our fantasy league. And then I was like, this guy's not getting playing time. He's not being able to produce. I dropped him. You end up picking him up 2 weeks ago. I could have went back and grabbed him again, but I was like, I'm not going to do that to my buddy. Okay. And even though I had a better opportunity to grab him instead of you, but I'm not a dick entirely. So, you're now benefiting from that. But yeah, so don't lose faith yet. The running backs are going to pick it up, and you can't go there. You got beast mode mixed in there. It's just huge potential still coming.
Yeah.
Let's hope this keeps on the rise. Let's not let him be a one-time wonder.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in the Mac Jones. He is on fucking fire.
Agreed.
So moving up big time. We pretty much counted them out, but they're starting to turn around their season. Is the Kansas City Chiefs in the rank number 7? I am still not sold on Kansas City. They have raised up to the first place slot in their division, but I am still not sold on Kansas City.
Neither am I. Right now, they look decent on paper. They're just barely getting by in theory, on my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, the last game was a 41-17 beatdown over the Raiders. Raiders are not looking that good. I can't put a stamp on it right now saying, hey, they're going this far, they're doing this. It's just still too much to be guessing on. There's not enough for us to be, strong proof on.
Right. Oh, dropping 4 spots into rank number 6 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady is not looking good.
I mean, his hasn't been looking bad this year. It's just he had seriously one bad game. You're allowed to
He's
have
had
that.
a couple of bad games.
I'm saying this is the worst one that he's had in
His
a while.
team around him is what's been winning games. And I'm a Tom Brady fan. And
I know.
And I have to be honest, this is one of his worst years as a quarterback that has been seen. I mean, bottom line, it's his defense and his offense that have been pulling off the wins that they've been getting. He is not looking as good as he did last year at all.
I'm in agreement. It's just, again, it's a 6-3 team. I'm not putting my pulling my hopes down yet. They still have huge potential. Guys, it's going to happen.
Number 5, Buffalo Bills. It's the Bills. They're a good team. I don't know what else to say. There's really not much you can say on Buffalo Bills. They're the Bills. Same thing. Go ahead.
I mean, the beginning of the season, you and me both had high hopes for the Bills. I am surprised a little bit that they have a 6-3 record right now. I thought they'd be a little bit more of a power horse, but we'll see where they end up. I still have hopes in them doing something as well.
A team I was high on at the beginning of the year, I'm still high on, and they're still doing their shit. They've had they've had 2 heartbreaks, but at 8-2, the Arizona Cardinals, still a very dangerous team, a very good team. You will see them in the playoffs. They are going to be a danger, period, and the story. I feel like the whole thing with the Carolina Panthers was at any given Sunday type of scenario. They lost. I don't foresee them losing this weekend. They're playing the Steelers. I think that's going to be a train wreck for Pittsburgh.
I agree.
So moving on, number 3, what shocks the shit out of me, I counted them out before the season even started, was Dallas Cowboys, and they're obviously shutting me up. I want so bad to talk trash because I hate the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I'm not giving them as much credit as people are trying to give right now because they did just get beat by the Broncos. They had a blowout win against the Falcons. Guys, the Falcons are shit this year. So, again, I am not having high hopes. Ooh, you're 7-2. Okay. Show me something to make me become a fan and see what needs to happen with these guys.
Right. Number 2, no surprise, Tennessee Titans. At the beginning of the season, they looked a little bit rough, but they were able to pull their shit together awfully fast and are now sitting at an 8-2 record. Number 2 ranking. They're number 1 in the AFC. Not surprising. I'm not shocked. They've done good even without Derrick Henry. They went and picked up Adrian Peterson, which was probably a good idea. They kept it going. Let's see what they can do this weekend.
Agreed.
Sliding into number 1, I fucking hate it. I hope they get destroyed, is the Green Bay Packers. I do not like the Packers. I hate the Packers. I will always hate the Packers. Fuck the Packers and fuck Aaron Rodgers.
I'm in agreement, but the sad thing is they're playing the Vikings today, and I don't want either one of them to get a win. Let's have a fucking tie, all right? Let's hope for a tie between both
I want
teams.
the Vikings to win. Go Minnesota. Go Minnesota.
I want a tie. I don't want either one to get a win or a loss. I want a tie because fuck both of them. And plus it gives a chance for Bears to kind of squeeze up. But I don't know.
All right. Going into the playoff scenario, then we will do our picks for today's wins. Going into the playoff spot right now, if the season ended today. Number 1 in the AFC, the Tennessee Titans. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. The number 5 slot goes to the New England Patriots. The number 6 slot would still go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the very last slot would be going to the Los Angeles Chargers. There's still quite a few teams that are actually still in the hunt. Right now, the 4 you're going to be watching is the Bengals, the Raiders, the Colts, and the Browns. Then you got over on the NFC side, you've got number 1 ranked Packers, number 2 Arizona Cardinals, the number 3 seed Dallas Cowboys, number 4 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the number 5 seed Los Angeles Rams, number 6 seed New Orleans Saints, and at the number 7 seed that has gotten their way in the playoff hunt, the Carolina Panthers. The 4 teams you're watching right now for in the hunt behind the Panthers are the Minnesota Vikings, the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and your Atlanta Falcons. It is very interesting. It's going to get a lot more interesting in the coming weeks.
Now, here's the thing. You're saying that these all records right here are so close that
Right.
even except the last team, the 16th team in that, okay, the last one, there's no chance. There's no hope. But number 15 in that one is even the Bears. They
Right.
have potential to jump up from number 15 to take the number 8 spot.
Right.
So it's still, that division is fucking up in the air.
Well, the AFC is too at the
Yeah.
tail end.
Exactly.
So it's both sides could go anywhere with those, 6 and 7 seeds. It's very, very close. It's within a game of several teams.
All
so
right.
that's the way that we're looking at. So right now we're going to go into our picks for the games. I'm going to let you roll that one out.
I figured as much. All right. Starting off at 1 o'clock today, we've got the Colts at the Bills.
I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills.
So am I. The next game is going to be the Ravens at the Bears. I'm taking the Bears without Lamar Jackson, and plus I'm going to take the Bears anyways.
I'm taking the Bears without Lamar Jackson.
Next up, we have the Browns. Well, the Lions at the Browns.
I'm going to take Cleveland.
Yeah. We have the Texans at the Titans.
I am taking the Tennessee Titans.
We have the Packers at the Vikings.
I'm going to take the Packers, but I'm going for the Vikings.
I'm in agreement. We're both going to take the damn Packers, and I'm going to put next to it an asterisk for a tie. All right. Next up, we've got the Dolphins at the Jets.
I'm going to go with Miami.
So am I. Next, we have the Eagles versus the Saints. I'm going to actually pull up the Eagles on this one. I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Philadelphia too.
Then we have Washington at the Panthers.
I'm going to go with the Panthers on that.
I'm going to put you down as the Panthers. I'm going to go for Washington. I think there's potential. The quarterback they've got is actually showing up and doing some good things, so I'm going to hold them to be something. Next up, we have the 49ers against the Jaguars.
Obviously, I'm going to go with the 49ers.
So am I. Next up, we have the Bengals against the Raiders. I'm going to pick the Bengals.
I'm going to go with the Bengals too.
All right. Next up, we have the Cowboys at the Chiefs.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs because I'm not a Cowboys fan.
I mean, I'm not either, but
I know. It's just so hard. It's so hard to pick that. Next up, we have the Cardinals at the Seahawks.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals as well. If Russell Wilson was playing up to par like he normally is, I would probably swing my vote there and say there was a huge chance, but we're going to have to go with the Cardinals for this. Next up, we have the Steelers versus the Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers.
As am I. Now, that covers up this week. Now, we get to jump into week 12 because, folks, Thursday's Thanksgiving. That means we have 3 games for next week, and I'm excited. Hopefully, the Bears get a win today, and then hopefully we get a win on Thursday because coming up on
it's going to be a fast turnaround. Fantasy football players, you better be on your shit Wednesday.
Yes, and the first game on Thursday is at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, so not your standard 1 o'clock. So we have the Chicago Bears versus the Lions.
I'm going to go with Chicago.
All right, then we have the Raiders versus the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Sadly, I'm going to have to pick the Cowboys on this one. And then last game is the Bills at the Saints.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
Me too. Now, of course, that gets us caught up to everything for this week coming forward. And then we'll do a next Tailgate Kings on next Sunday and finish up the rest of the thing. I mean, there's not a lot of games we'll be talking about, but we got it. Huge potential.
Yeah. No. But anyways, we have ran out of time. Boys and girls, we are done for today. We will see you again next Friday for Gutter Trash Cinema. There's plenty of shows that run throughout the week here on Hellfire Radio and Hellfire Entertainment Media Group. We love you guys. Have a great weekend. See you soon.
Dubbers.